Why do military veterans do well in business and excel in their careers? Find out more in this episode of VetBizTV. This episode is brought to you by 3UP Metalworks, your custom metal fabricating specialist. Visit 3upmetalworks.com. Today's guest is Ed Garza, a U.S. Navy veteran and the president and CEO of the Center for Veterans Issues in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Ed served as an intel officer and division recruiting officer for the U.S. Navy. Thanks for joining us,
Hey,
Ed.
thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So if we were friends in high school, who was Ed Garza, and why did you decide to join the military?
You know, family tradition for the military. Dad did 26 years in the Navy. Did 4 tours in Vietnam. And I grew up on Miramar, which was the home of Top Gun, as a kid. And when I graduated from high school, went on to University of South Dakota and played baseball. And, you know, I was kind of torn. Do I go in the service or do I follow my passion of playing ball? And I went and played ball and had a great career and did some things after the college life in baseball. And then, you know, just time to get to work. And so my degree was in education. So I was a teacher coming out of college and still had that itch to serve and joined the Navy Reserve in 99. And as an enlisted guy, I had my degree, but I wanted to do my part and contribute, right? And little did I know, 2 years later, we'd be dealing with 9/11, and well, where do we go from here? And so I was in the aviation storekeeper, the old dying rate there for the Navy, but was with an F-18 squadron out of Joint Reserve Base Fort Worth, and then went through what they call a cross rate into the intelligence field and went through my schooling. And then in March of 05, I got my commission as an officer. And then from there, it had to be 5 months later, I found myself in New Orleans conducting search and rescue operations after Hurricane Katrina and Rita. And did that, and then went to DC and worked at DIA and the Pentagon, and worked for the diversity directorate out there, and then went to Iraq and did 4 years of recruiting, and it was time to go home. It was a very interesting career, but at that point my body was beat up and pretty tired.
Yeah.
And I had been away from the family and wanted to make sure that I got back to them.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
You had a little mix there of active duty and reserve time.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just explain a little bit about the reserve time? Because I know, you know, you live your normal life, right? You go to work every day, you're doing your job, then all of a sudden, bam, you get called up. Now your life changes a little bit. You got to figure things out at home. You might be going overseas. Can you just share a little bit about how that impacted you, you know, when those sort of situations happen and what your thought process was?
Yeah, I mean, in my career, I did a little bit backwards, where I did reserve first, and then I ended, 6 years of it on active duty, where usually it's traditionally the other way around, right?
Yeah.
And so the 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, it's a little more than that, right? There's always something going on that'll pique your interest, or your command needs you to do this or do that, and I liked it, and I really kind of excelled with that quite a bit. And having my degree, I still wanted to be an officer, and I had to go through that process. I mean, I was rejected a couple times before I finally got picked up as an officer. But if I'm going to say anything that I've learned, is just be persistent and don't let the challenges get in the way, because you're going to be told no a lot, not only in the military but in your professional career.
Yeah.
How bad do you want it? And if you want to persevere over that, you won't quit. Yeah. And so, I think for me, coming back from a deployment, I had a hard time. I had a hard time transitioning off of active duty and doing what I was doing to civilian life, and I was bored. I just didn't have that thrill or excitement of I'm contributing to a greater cause than myself. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know how to necessarily take care of myself.
Yep.
And do that the right way. And so, I mean, battling PTSD, not sleeping, my mind is still in the fight. I still want to be over there. I still want to contribute. I've got friends that are still over there. I know what's going on. My 9-to-5 job wasn't cutting it, right? Mm-hmm. But it's what pays the bills right now.
Yeah.
And so for me to kind of overcome that, I had to find a different passion that would allow me to feel like I'm still serving. And so when I got off active duty, I had a great opportunity with Concordia University, Wisconsin. Was kind of doing similar to recruiting, but doing admissions, and found a need at the university to develop a veteran services department, which would allow veterans to come, utilize their benefits, their credits that they have from their military training, and apply that towards a degree. And we did a really nice job over there. And then one day I got a call from a headhunter and said, hey, would you be interested in talking to me about CVI? And I said, sure. And next thing you know, I applied, and May 28th, 2019, I walked through the door and it was time to get to work. And so for me here, it's not work if you love what you do. And we're making an impact on veterans, not just in Milwaukee, but across the state. And I will tell you, I got the best team of staff, my leadership team, phenomenal. Their experience and how they help me understand CVI and our programs and where we need to go really helped me transition into a new CEO, as this was my first job as a CEO. But as any leader, you got to observe what's going on before you can start making some decisions that will make an impact, for the organization. But I believed in my team, and my team did a great job of preparing me mm-hmm. and helping me understand some of the things that I needed to know. But it was drinking out of a fire hose, because March 2020 was when COVID really started, hitting us here in Wisconsin, and things changed.
Yep.
We had to go a different direction and do different things, and we had to put things in place that we never thought we would ever have to deal with.
Sure.
But in our training as military guys, we find a way. Mm-hmm. We pivot, come up with a plan, new operating procedure, and here we go.
Absolutely.
And
you kind of touched on it here a little bit too, but the transition part, that's a big thing for guys getting out of the military. Mm-hmm. You're going from a high speed career in the military that you don't know what you're getting into from day to day, to going into a civilian life where it's a little bit more predictable in what you're doing. But there's that transition time there to try to figure yourself out, figure out what you want to do and stuff like that. You guys have sort of developed a little program here, and you work with different organizations. How can a veteran do a better job of figuring out that process and more about themselves and what they want to do when they get out, and, mm-hmm. and get the tools to get through that process sooner, faster, and easier?
Now that I kind of think back about it as we're kind of talking about this, I remember trying to transition off active duty myself. Well, there's a career fair for veterans. Well, let me go check that out. You go with a handful of resumes, and you're in your best dressed Sunday suit, and you're trying to go and impress people. And career fairs are a little bit difficult. The way they operate now, a lot of technology. Please apply online, or we're not taking resumes right now, or I think that makes it very tough, and it makes that transition a little bit more frustrating. And now that I've been here at CVI, I would say the best piece of advice I can give is find a nonprofit group that has good awareness and outreach, and find out if they have a workforce development program. CVI does. We have what we call our homeless veterans reintegration program. And it doesn't mean you have to be homeless to come to us looking for advice, but we do have a very significant network with employers, but around Milwaukee and Waukesha counties, and we got them elsewhere too. But our team of folks can connect veterans who are transitioning to employers who may be looking for specific jobs. So whether you're enlisted or an officer, we still have the connections to these employers. I could tell you we've got connections to Milwaukee Tool, Milwaukee Bucks, BMO. Depending on what you want to do, we've got, you know, a great list of employers that have worked with CVI over the years and that we have a good relationship with. And they come to CVI and we'll do trainings and just kind of letting them know what we're seeing with veterans in the workforce. And we're sharing information. But just today, I sent a resume for a vet who got a hold of me and was not sure where I need to go, but this is what I want to do. And I knew the person from that company, and I forwarded the resume on. It's like, I'll connect you, but you got to sell it, right? And so we all need that help. And I think CVI does a very good job with that. You know, our workforce development team does a phenomenal job of building those relationships with employers and then sending people their way.
Yeah, I think that's important. Don't try to go alone. You know, you're just leaving the military. You didn't do anything alone there. Don't try to do it alone when you get out. Like you said, find that nonprofit that can provide that helping hand for you.
Right. And even today, you know, we got connected by our mutual friend, Nick.
Yep.
And the veterans socials that are taking place around the Milwaukee area. The more people we can add to that, the more opportunities it is for an active duty member who's looking to transition, or somebody who's already, you know, been discharged from the service. Come on out and network and meet some people, exchange business cards, and then find out who's doing what. And it's a great opportunity just to come out and just meet different veterans in the area.
Absolutely.
And it's been great from the first one that I went to, and I'm looking forward to the next one too. So
absolutely. So 2 to 3 takeaways that you can say. You mentioned one earlier, persistence. But 2 to 3 takeaways you think that you took away from the military that have helped you in your career, moving up in the ranks in your career, life, all those sorts of things, and how did that lead towards your success?
I think another one is the question I remember being asked as a young airman by my chief: who's going to care more about your career in the service, you or the service? And at some point, we got to take responsibility for that, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to get out of it what we put into it. And it's the same thing I tell my kids. How bad do you want it? If you want it bad enough, you'll figure out a way.
Yep.
You got to find a way to kind of help yourself stand out above and beyond everybody else. And so if you go with that same mentality that you're going to get out of it what you put into it, you'll reap the rewards of your effort. Just don't quit. Mm-hmm. We heard that in the military. Just don't quit. Just keep going. I also too, I think for me is you got to know when to ask for help. Can't do it by yourself. You just can't. I mean, if you think you can do something by yourself and you haven't really talked to anybody about the help that you need, how do you expect to get it? You got to be able to reach out and go, hey sir or ma'am, I'm really looking for an opportunity to do this. Can you help me? And I think for some guys, they really struggle asking for that help. Can you help me? It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of humility. Yeah. Be humble. We didn't get this far in our lives because we did it all by ourselves.
Absolutely.
We had someone helping us along the way. And so those are the two that I add to, being persistent is, don't quit. And you got to want it really, really bad. Keep working at it. And 2, don't be afraid to ask for help. Because there's people out there that'll help you.
Yep.
I've seen that more the last couple months. Just getting connected with more veterans in the area, and the network that we have has been phenomenal.
Absolutely.
You just got to ask around. You're gonna get connected here eventually, and just stay at it, right?
Sometimes it's as easy as reaching the hand out and just shaking someone's hand. You don't know who you're running into or what situation you're getting yourself into.
Right. So and it's just a flip of a business card, or
100%. Hey,
can we get a cup of coffee? Can we talk about what your company does? And I'm really interested in if I could share a quick story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes your work will speak for itself, and when that happens, you're doing the right thing. And it was towards the end of September, and checked my voicemail here in the office, and it was a message from Mark Murphy from the Green Bay Packers asking me if I'd give him a call back because he had some news he wanted to share with me. And right away, what does any vet do? My friends are crank calling me, right? They're leaving me a goofy message on my phone. It has to be so-and-so, but I better call back. And when I called back, it was the secretary for, the president of the Green Bay Packers. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, this is real. Did I not cheer loud enough? Am I in trouble? I didn't get it. And I just said, well, ma'am, if I can just leave my cell phone, I'm going to be away from my office phone for a minute. And sure enough, Mark Murphy called me back. And he talked to me like he had known me forever and said, Ed, Mark Murphy here, hey, we have seen the work you do. We've been to your website. We studied a little bit about the work that CVI does. We really admire what you're doing for our veterans. We just developed our first Veteran Impact Grant, and we've chosen CVI to support with a $250,000 grant to help you fight veteran homelessness in Wisconsin. Now keep in mind, it was completely unsolicited. There wasn't a grant application that we filled out. It wasn't anything like that. They became aware of the services we provide. We had a great website that talked about our programs and what we do. And I was stunned because it just one day out of the blue. And to be honest, I called Mr. Murphy back, and the secretary kind of chuckled a little bit. And I'm like, is Mr. Murphy available again? And so when I talked to him again, he was great. He's like, hi, Ed. What can I do for you? I'm like, I just want to make sure that was 4 zeros after the 25. and he chuckled and he was like, yep, that's 4 zeros after the 25. We're a proud partner. We're going to work on a press release. And you can see the press release behind you up on the wall. And I mean, those things don't happen every day. But the work that CVI does and the integrity the way we do it, it speaks for itself. And to be rewarded like that. And that wasn't something I did. That was something the team did. That was something my leadership team had been doing for years. That's what our case managers and our staff do every day. They're boots on the ground dealing with the toughest cases that we can possibly imagine to make sure our veterans are taken care of. And we've done some amazing things, and we've been so blessed to have support even from the Green Bay Packers like that. I mean, persistence, don't quit, find a way to get the job done. And sometimes help will come to you even when you don't ask for it, but don't be afraid to ask for it, right?
Exactly.
So,
especially if you're in sales.
Right.
Myself.
So, I mean, it's just about, partnerships and community development. Let people know what you're doing. Build that support. Build that network. And you never know what's going to come from that.
Absolutely. That's a great story, and thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, you bet.
Processing issues. You probably run into your challenges, and you had a great military career as well, but how would you say you take on that challenge? If you have a challenge come to you or an issue come to you, how do you process that, and what's your decision-making process?
In regards to, give me an example like our process maybe.
So if you're running into a situation where you might not get the grant, or you might not get the building for the housing for the veterans, how do you process that issue when you have a need for it?
Grant writing is very important in nonprofits, and you just got to have a bigger pool to submit grants for. More than likely, you'll be told no more than you'll be told yes, right? And I just think knowing where to go, knowing who to ask, how to inquire, have a good game plan to submit your grant. And every dollar counts. Every dollar counts. And so when you look at it that way, maybe it'll take a little longer to get the money you need to fulfill the new program you want to establish, but you got to start somewhere, right? And so look at philanthropic groups, nonprofits, develop a community base of private donors, develop some fundraising that are simple, easy to get people involved with, and start making a few dollars and set it aside. I think the one thing we've learned the most is you got to tell people what you're going to do with it. Explain to them, we need this funding to support this need. And then provide a regular update. You know, we'll be providing our newsletter coming up here in March. And we're going to be providing updates about our new heroes market. We're going to talk about some of the successes from our leadership team. We're going to talk about future plans for expansion at Vets Place Central, some of our upcoming fundraisers. Now is the time to let people know what's going to happen throughout the rest of the year so they can mark their calendar. And so you can't go fishing for muskie if there's no muskie in the lake, right? you got to know what's in the lake when you go fishing so you know what you can catch. And for me, I gotta know what's around me and who can I send an inquiry, share my program, share my idea for where we want to go, and then is there an opportunity to apply for a grant? And if there is, let's go for it. Let's see if we can get it and build that support. If we don't get it this time, great. I still want to invite people to come take a look at CVI. You know, I've had folks come through and I want to see your operations. Well, come on by. Mm-hmm. COVID's opened up a little bit. We can do a few more things than we could before, but come take a look. And we're a big believer here with our leadership team and even with our board of directors. If you come take a look, the operations will speak for itself.
Absolutely, and I would agree with that.
I know you've been here, you've taken a tour, and
absolutely,
yeah,
a lot of great things going on here. One last, second to last question here, but I'm interested to hear your perspective on this because there's a lot of nonprofits out there, right? Not just in the veteran space, but any space. I see one of the problems that I see is, you know, people start a nonprofit when there's already a nonprofit doing what they already are looking to do, you know, and maybe it makes more sense for them to team up together to conquer something versus splitting dollars. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So what would your advice be for outside of, you know, do your research for a veteran or any person who's looking to start a nonprofit, you know, for a particular cause? What would be a piece of advice?
I think, you know, the big thing is research your area and see if there's any nonprofits that are already doing what you want to do. And if there are, there's nothing wrong with teaming up and seeing that you can be part of it, being a board member or being part of a committee, you know, to help support that passion that you have. If there's not, then take a look at the full process. I know some folks that want to do it and went all in without understanding the process of establishing a nonprofit, and what happened was now they're using, you know, their own funding and they're struggling to keep those buildings and things available. It's not an overnight deal. You know, it takes a lot of work, but I think you got to really do some research on what are the nonprofits in the area. I mean, we have the technology to find that out.
Yep.
Or if it's a veteran nonprofit, are there any that are doing what I have a passion to do? And maybe that'll save you a few dollars, but you can help that group raise some dollars too.
Yeah.
There's no need to reinvent the wheel when it's already there.
Exactly.
But if there's something you have a niche for and it's not available, you know, dive into it and see, and then find out who will partner with you. Mm-hmm. You got to have that network of partners to help you kind of get it off the ground.
Absolutely.
You know, I wish there was a nonprofit 101 that is kind of the playbook, right? To help some of these folks get started. Maybe that's something we need to develop, right? But it's tough because I don't want to tell anyone that I don't want you to pursue your passion. Mm-hmm. But it's tough if we've got 4 nonprofits doing the same thing within a 25-mile radius.
Yep.
Because then the veterans will be like, well, which one do I go to? Mm-hmm. And it's tough, right?
Yep.
But you just gotta find a way to like figure out what's important to you. Do you want to run it, or do you want to be a part of it?
Yep.
You know, so that's a tough call. It's, but
I think the other part is go work for one. You know, go volunteer for one.
Yeah.
See what it's like first. Learn the ropes a little
Understand the operations of it.
bit. Yeah.
Because it may not be what you think it is until you get in there, right? And so,
being on a couple boards and committees now over the last few years, I've come to realize the people that are running the nonprofit don't have as an easy life as people think they do. There's a lot of time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears that you guys put into this. And, you know, and you got a well-oiled machine here. You got some great staff, and yourself included in that, just doing a lot of positive things around here.
well, I thank my predecessors, you know, Mr. Thomas Wynn and Brigadier General Robert Cocroft for laying the groundwork. You know, this was a mission they both had, a vision to serve, you know, veterans. And, you know, I take what they've done, I'm just trying to expand on that and develop a program that will continue to serve veterans for another 30 years. So I thank them. I mean, I've got staff here that have been here over 20 years. I mean, they're the longevity, they're the retention, they're the leaders. And I got to rely on them to help me understand a few things that I still don't know, right? But that's part of when you walk into something, fully understanding all the operations that come with it. So
well, that's great to hear. Last question. What's next for Ed Garza in the next 5-10 years?
Wow, that's a great question. I think for me personally, as continuing to find ways to build CVI that addresses even more needs of veterans that we may not even know. You know, we look at developing more initiatives that will keep our veterans busy. You know, want to expand our organic therapy project. You know, as I shared earlier, we can find 3 to 5 acres and build our organic therapy, more growing and gardening, and let these guys go out there and kind of work and kind of maybe it's developing a hobby farm and let these guys get up every morning and go to work and do that. Having busy hands is good. You feel productive, right? And probably expanding housing opportunities throughout the state. I know we're strong here in the Milwaukee area, but maybe look to develop some housing where we have other offices across the state and address those needs statewide. And so that'll take a little bit of time. It'll take a little more fundraising and understanding that housing market a little bit better. But I think that's next 5 years where we want to go. We still maintaining the Soldier's Home, the Vets Manor. Our app will hopefully continue to be doing well. Fundraising will still continue to be as strong as it is for us and growing in different ways. And then just developing initiatives that make sense to work hand in hand with the programs that we do have to continue to provide even more services to the vets who need them. Those that are outside of some of the programs, but create a few more. You know, we're working on the mental wellness center, you know, expand our organic therapy, develop more housing. I think there's some great opportunities for us in the next 5 years.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, and appreciate your time again.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
If you support military veterans, military spouses, veteran-owned businesses, and veteran nonprofits, hit the subscribe button below and hit the bell to get alerts on new content coming out. We appreciate your support. If you know of any patriots doing great things in business and community that we should interview, please let us know in the comment section below. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode of VetBizTV.